To all things, an ending. Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with X-Men number 41. This is essentially the ending of Legion's Quest, which is part 4 of 4. In this event, Gabrielle Haller and Professor Xavier's child, David Haller, comes back to the past 20 years from the current time here to stop Magneto so that Xavier's dream could be fulfilled. Now the X-Men go back in time to stop him, and at the beginning of it they have no memory of who they are. And it takes Cable coming back in time to finally restore their memories and achieve their goal of why they're in the past, and that is to stop David Haller from killing Magneto. And they can't believe it. As you can see here, this gorgeous shot here of all 4 X-Men, Bishop, Psylocke, Iceman, and Storm. Beautiful work here. Now, before we go any further, the print date on this comic book was February 1995. And oh man, just love the work that they did, especially that old school Storm look. Yeah. But anyway, she says, this cannot be happening. And we are treated to a gorgeous splash page here of Magneto, this past Magneto, just going off on David Haller. And it says, Stan Lee presents Dreams Die. Writers Fabian Nicieza. And then we have different artists. So we have Ron Garney doing these pages, Andy Kubert, Kevin Somars and Digital Chameleon doing the color, Matt Ryan doing these inks here. And then that's hard to see with this type of font face, but I think that says Oakley and NJQ doing letters, and then of course Bob Harris was the editor. X-Men were created by Stan Lee with Jack Kirby. And yeah, this is a rough read because we see Magnus here going against Haller, and then we see the past versions of Gabrielle and Xavier, and they don't know what this Legion was talking about. She's like, he keeps saying he's my son. And they don't know. And Xavier is saying, exactly what I knew would eventually come, Gabby, although not the way I'd hoped. It's the dawn of Homo sapien superior. We are watching a genetic atom bomb, and it's exploding over our heads. And so we all know that he loves Gabrielle Haller, and he saves her the pain of all this and psychically puts her to sleep and runs into the action. And Psylocke actually reaches out to him and he goes, excuse me, this is my only second time ever talking to another like mine. So you can see that this is a very inexperienced Xavier. And as he's like, you're the one who called me? And the look on his face is just, whoa. Because, he's talking with this woman in his head. He sees Bishop. He sees Storm. And you're like, what's happening? He says, who are you people? This is not important, Charles, as our reason for being here. We must stop the man named Legion before he kills your friend Magnus. And I like how Xavier says, wait, your mental imprint. I recognize it. I know you. You tried to steal my wallet in Cairo weeks ago. But you were a little girl. How could... It is you. You're an adult now. Like, this is incredible. David claimed to be Gabrielle Haller's son. Hold on, guys. Add. And then we jump into the future, and this is Xavier and Lalandra talking via holograph. And Lalandra's talking about the events that are happening in the past with David Haller is affecting the M'Kraan crystal, which is causing this ice wave or glass wave to shoot out across galaxies, freezing them, and then all of a sudden they just disappear like they ceased to exist. So it's a crystallization wave. And so we're starting to see the outcome of what happens. And so these two, they're heartbroken because they realize, he goes, that would mean my X-Men failed in the past. And their failure then is causing the end of all reality now. Such a burden of responsibility. It's so unfair, Lil. It has always been for us, Charles. But sadly, that is the weight we chose to bear, isn't it? And so I like, here's how Gambit's talking about how even though these two are light years apart, they're watching the same fate, but they can't hold each other. And so this kind of sets up something between Rogue and Gambit, because this is where we kind of start to get the effect of what everyone's feeling, that their world is ending. What's the name? Archangel finally tells Betsy that he loves her, and now she's in the past. So he's like, this happens right after I tell her that I love her. And so we start to see all the other characters seeing this effect. And then we come to the crux of it all here, where we see the shadowy figure, and at first we realize it's Apocalypse, but he goes, so it begins. Over a decade earlier than my sinister associate predicted. For him, it will be a revelation of both ecstatic and infuriating proportions. Although the genetic tree he has so meticulously watched over the decades is bearing fruit far sooner than he anticipated. At least the time of blooming has arrived. As for myself, these events simply mean that the order of ascension begins now. So I love this foreshadowing here, because you're like, wait a minute, what does this all mean? And again, beautiful artwork, just the way Haller here is going nuts on Magneto. He's like, I figured it all out. I thought about every which way I could, and I realized this was the only thing I could do. Daddy's dream. His vision would have come true if you hadn't chosen to fight it every single step of the way. If I kill you, then his plans will happen the way they should have. He's like, whose dreams are you talking about? And David says, about humans and mutants living together. And he's like, wait, those are the words of Charles Xavier. You can see the madness in David's voice at this point. Now, Bobby, they know they have to stop Legion. And so I like this look on Bobby's face. He does not want to do this. And against his better judgment, he completely, atom by atom, freezes Legion. So he thinks the day is won. However, something happens that frees Legion. If you want to know what happened, read it. He goes, as soon as this monster is dead. And I like how Magnus here goes, you dare condemn me for something I haven't done yet? This is your morality. This is your justice. And David just, how we all know Legion is a little crazy, right? Well, I don't want to give away exactly what happens here, but I'll read it. It goes, for Charles Francis Xavier, there was never a choice. Today, all his perceptions of reality were ripped away. And he saw a glimpse of what his life might have been. 4 noble men and women, mutants like him, who in his name were willing to risk their all to save a man who would become their enemy. And 1 desperate madman, willing, almost eager, to kill in that name. His name, his friend. Charles Francis Xavier could not allow that to happen. And in 1 desperate move, his future, his life are sacrificed. If you want to see how, get the book, guys. I didn't want to run that part. Because at this point, we all know this is the end of Charles Xavier. And Legion just realizes, because when he goes to kill Magneto, he goes, if I kill you now, things will have to be better in the future, right? After all, they can't get much worse, eh? Well, he goes, Daddy, this is impossible. You can't be dead. Because if you're dead, that means that David Haller was never born, which would mean that the X-Men would never come back in time to stop him, because there were no X-Men, because Charles Xavier never lived to create them. All save 1 time displaced man, his mind damaged by the energies which ripped Legion and the others away. Bishop remains the now lost, possibly sole survivor forevermore. And so this is what I mean. Look at how Magnus is torn apart by the death of his friend. Now we go back to now the Jonathan Hickman Dawn of X, where, you know, people are saying, oh, do you think we'll just become, you know, what is that word I'm looking for? Desensitized to death. Kid Omega saying, oh, death is boring. Look at Magneto here cradling his friend. Death is supposed to have an impact on people, for those that you loved. And it challenges you to carry on their memory. So that's again why Dawn of X really is kind of getting under my skin there. Anyway, the crystal hits. And what I love here, the world ends with neither bang nor whimper, but in the eerie, silent, shimmering shroud of glass. A world which, like one man's dreamed, proved to be such a delicate thing, and when not handled with enough care, is so easily shattered. So guys, this was X-Men number 42. And this was supposed to be the death of Charles Xavier. Like I said, I didn't want to show the death scene. Now, I know this is an older book, but nonetheless, I want y'all to go read it. Speaking of which, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please make sure to go support your local comic shop and pick up the entire Legion's Quest run, because this was a good read, y'all. Every time I read it, it gets me choked up a little bit because of how, one man's worth can change the outcome of the future. And from what I understand, the showrunners for the X-Men the Animated Series, they said that episode, the One Man's Worth, was one of the things that really inspired what we'll be going over next. So if you want to know what we're going over next, stay tuned, true believers. And if you've enjoyed this review, please make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love to hear your feedback and have a dialogue with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.